So I got back to Washington, D.C., and I started emailing, Facebook messaging, texting, calling, carrier pigeoning anyone I could who was in LA who might be able to put me in touch with Rainn Wilson and his team. So eventually, through so many connections, a friend of a friend of a friend put me in touch with the guy who was working with Rainn on SoulPancake. And I get on the phone with him and I say, hey, I would love to help with what you're doing at SoulPancake. And he says, oh yeah, awesome. What do you do again? I said, I do content. I'm a journalist. I'm working as a magazine editor. I do content. I'm a storyteller. And so he said, awesome. Well, we have all these bells and whistles and all this technology that we've built. We've got a group of people who are willing to contribute, but we don't really have any content, and we launch soon. And I said, okay, well, when do you launch? And he said, we launch in about a month. And if you've ever worked in the content space, that is no time at all. So I basically said, well, give me some equity in the company, and I will get your content up and running. And I turned around and spent the next 4 weeks calling in favors, organizing the strategy, and getting everyone pulled together, writing content, being up all hours of the night because I was still working a full-time job, and getting SoulPancake launched. That was 8 years ago. Now, I tell this story because, and the reason that it relates to joy, is because the shift that I've seen in my life since that moment has been a markedly different approach to life. And from going from that very, very bottom low that I was in, where I felt like the world was against me and nothing was going right, that Eeyore mentality, I wouldn't say I've become a full-on Tigger, but I've made a lot of progress towards it. And there are 3 tools that I keep going back to again and again that came up in that period of transition for me. The first one is I had nothing to lose. So I was super detached from the outcome. I was super detached. Rainn was going to make SoulPancake whether I was involved in it or not. It was going to happen whether I reached out or not. And I had nothing to lose in reaching out. So I was super detached from any potential outcome that was going to come. The second toolkit, the tool that I was able to take from that, is how powerful gratitude is. That I essentially, every time I reached out to someone and asked them to connect me to someone to help me get in touch with Rainn, I felt so grateful that they had taken the time to do it. And when the team at SoulPancake said, yeah, come on in, help us, I felt so grateful for that opportunity. And to this day, every project we work on, everything that comes across my desk, I feel so grateful that I get to do something where I work at a company that I see as my professional soulmate every single day. And the third thing that I learned in that process is how important it is to not compare yourself to other people. I was spending my nights literally on Facebook stalking ex-classmates. Like, it was a bad period. And it wasn't until later that I came across a quote that's attributed to Theodore Roosevelt that I realized just how important that is. The quote is, "Comparison is the thief of joy." I love this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I realized that in all of my life leading up to that moment, I was always so attached to the outcome. But what if it doesn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to or expected it to? I wasn't grateful for the great and amazing things and people I did have. And I was comparing myself every single day to what was going on with other people. And so I've, since that time, taken those 3 elements and I've implemented them in every part of what happens with SoulPancake. Last year, we were acquired by Participant Media, which is a film company here in Los Angeles. And the process leading up to that was super arduous. I had more than 65 meetings with potential investors and strategic partners, and I was told no over and over and over and over again. But that same toolkit that got me to SoulPancake in the first place got us to the successful exit because I wasn't attached to the outcome. I was so grateful for every meeting we had, even when they said no, because I was able to tell our story. And I didn't compare ourselves to what every other company was doing. When they would get investment, when they would sell, I said, that's their story, but I'm not gonna let it deprive me of mine. And so if I can leave you with anything, especially those of you who are a little bit more Eeyore than you are Tigger, you can find small ways to bring a little bit more joy into your life like I did.